Alright guys, little bit of a Fleabay edition, and this is actually going to be a quick one. I've only got 4 items I want to look at today. I've already been here perusing this, and in all honesty, it's usually the same junk that we're seeing. A lot of stuff is the same stuff that's been listed for months, if not years, type of thing, that they just keep putting out for these atrocious prices. And it's either atrocious prices or it's just literally crap. It's stuff like lead screws and cross feed screws and this, that, and something else, that and nuts to go with them, or nuts separately from. They're all wore out junk. You don't buy that shit. So anyway, I cast this morning, so now I'm kind of, and we're in the almost 100 degrees, I think, last time I looked. So weather's changing here. It's too hot to be casting, but like I say, we got some casting done this morning. I've got a lot of prototype stuff going on casting. I just about have the oil tank for on the Atlas mill done. I've been working prototypes with that and working on casting those, and now I'm just kind of refining the process and the tooling to get those cast. So those will actually be all show you one here directly. I had one I was going to show, but it's a failure, but still success because it's quite a bit of movement forward on getting those casts. So anyway, that's going on. Had a shaper guard was one of the things that I cast this morning because I had to ship one of those out today. So I've got another one cast. I'll have to get it finished out and painted. And those castings are coming out very nicely. I'm very pleased with those. So I spent the first part of the morning mulling sand while it was still, only in the 70s, and got that done and went ahead and rammed up a few molds and cast them. So by about 11:30, when it was already about, I think it was probably 85 or 90 already there while I was finishing up them. So anyway, 4 items here today. I've already gone through a lot of this stuff, as I've said. So looking at milling machine things primarily here, and I talked myself out of doing a little Fleabay edition here, but right off the bat, there's a couple of horizontal mills they're showing here. So they're worth looking at. They're way overpriced, and they're not as they're described. There's a little bit of variations in them to where they're not, completely honest about it, or lack of knowledge, whatever. And all of these sellers are sellers that have been around. I may not recognize one or two of these guys right off the bat, but they've got a lot of feedback. They've been around and they know how to play this game. So buyer beware, as always. The first one of these is a Atlas horizontal mill with a Rosenach vertical milling head. Excellent condition. Excellent. Only driven by a little old lady to church on Sundays. They're wanting $3,500 or best offer. An Atlas mill, I don't care how well it's tooled, and I don't care if it's got rare accessories, it's not worth $3,500. An Atlas mill is, on a good day, a $1,500 machine. If it's got every accessory in the world, it may be worth about $1,800, but as far as I'm concerned, they're not worth more than that. There's other machines that are more capable. Now, we love our little Atlas machines. I've worked with them for years. I really do like them. I make a little bit of money off of them by building parts and selling parts, and they're great little machines. They're nice in the home shop and everything, but when you get beyond $2,000 for something that's completely, unless it's completely tooled out, even then, like I say, above about $1,800, there's much better options available. Don't get caught up in this, oh, they're an Atlas machine, they're the best thing in the world, they're, you can't belong to that cult. That's just wrong. So anyway, let's read the description on this, and then we'll go look at the pictures. And this seller is dealing in machines, no matter what his handle says, but very clean Atlas mill with Rosenach vertical head. Nice Atlas horizontal mill with the correct stand base. This mill has an aftermarket support. This is machined from steel, unlike the original cast iron. This is probably an upgrade from the original, but for the purist, it's not original. It's not an upgrade. It's going to do exactly the same thing. And it's a good overarm, but there's a couple of things that I noticed that I don't like about it. But anyway, we'll look at that. Easily converting this. Not original. Also available with this mill is a Rosenach vertical mill head that fits the same bore as the overarm support, easily converting this to a vertical mill, also running on 120 volt AC. Comes with an assortment of collets that are readily available if needed. The mill has a cross feed with stop lever, a really nice table, correct drawbar is overall in great condition. The motor has been changed out at some point in the past, but I may have a period correct motor and pulley stashed back if that is a preference. Let's see, delivery stuff. And then at the end it says, I have a few more Atlas mills and shapers that will be listed soon. So this guy's dealing in them, and he's trying to get big bucks, and he may very well find some sucker out here that's buying them on eBay. But I'm telling you guys, don't waste your money on, don't waste this much money. And that's what you're doing, is wasting money. So let's go through the pictures here and look at it. Now, the first thing, it does have a base. It's got a correct Atlas base under it. Paint color is different. So anytime I see a difference in paint color, especially when it's not fresh paint. Now, I'm not opposed to taking parts off of one machine, putting them on another, or finding parts if you need parts, if there's a legitimate need or something. But when you see a machine like this one that's beat up, got original dings and scratches and scrapes and stuff on it, and is beat up, and then you've got color differences, that's just a machine that's been put together from parts, or some things are assembled. Now, finding an Atlas base, that's a little bit different. If it's a different color, that's fine, because this machine probably didn't originally come with this base, and bases are kind of hard to find, although I think both of these mills that we're going to look at today have got the original base underneath them. So when we look at it, and I can't really tell what that lower tag is, if that's a military tag, which may very well be. Anyway, this is badged Atlas. We go on up, this cover is a different color, so at some point this cover was changed. You look at this hinge is a different color, so either this hinge was changed, or this was originally a head that had the hinge that was cast in it, got damaged, bad casting, whatever, and was machined off and drilled and tapped for a standard hinge like is on most of the later ones. I would say this probably came with this screw-on hinge, and it was just off of a different machine for whatever reason. It was changed out. So here's the back of this overarm support. Now, the only thing I really don't like about this overarm support is it's too long. There's no sense in having it this long. Once you've got the table at its lower position, which this pretty much is all the way down, the stock overarm supports end about here, whereas this one's run on up another, 2-3 inches. Extra material is not necessary there. So that's that. And that's about all we see. Now, here's the drawbar they're saying is the correct drawbar. This is not the correct drawbar for this machine. The correct drawbar would have the 3/8 square hex, or the 3/8 square on it, to take the standard 3/8 wrench that goes with these for all the accessories, goes on the vise, goes on the shaper, for both the shaper vise and the adjustments on the shaper, cross feeds and all of that. So this is not the correct drawbar. So we're being misled, shall we say. Okay, let's go on around there again. Correct Atlas base. Motor is different. There is a kick out here with it on the table. This will be the later model back gear knob, or lever. Has the button on it, or the little knob on it to disengage it. So usually you see those broken, or a lot of times you see those broken. Now, the power feed on this looks awful shiny. The ones I see normally are painted on there. And that's all I really see there. See a lot of machines in the background, little Atlas 6-inch sitting back there. Backside view does have the guards. Motor's been changed out, which they said. Back looks okay. All of the cover on the back is a different color. So that would lead me to believe that at some point this machine may have had a coolant system in it, was robbed out for something else, and a replacement plate was put back on it. Or it may just have been missing a plate and they came up with a replacement. That pulley's not the correct pulley. It's been changed out with the belts and the motor. They just put a piece of rubber on here to catch the guard when it's lowered down into position. Normally they had a little bumper that went on here, and I don't think they're showing us enough of this guard in any of the pictures to be able to tell if it's actually there. But normally there was a little spring bumper or little spring of some sort, coiled piece of flat machine or flat spring stock that was attached to the guard itself, and it rested right about in that position, as I recall. But all the paint's chipped off here. You're seeing rust. You know, not original. Now that rust maybe have been caused by having a coolant system on here. The coolant adapter for the coolant lines would have hooked right there into those two holes. So it may have leaked coolant there, which would also tell us why it has a different colored backplate on it. Now this lever here, I kind of stewed over it because all it does is lock this overarm support onto the bar, onto the arbor, or onto the support bar there. So why there's this big obnoxious lever on here, I really don't know. There again, we can see the difference in colors in this cover compared to the rest of the machine. Looks okay here. This has been kind of chewed up. They've had that pin out, or it's come out and they've peened it back in there, something where that looks kind of ugly. But the machine, all in all, it's a okay machine, but it's not a $3,500 machine. This, you know, the Rosnock head probably has more value than the machine itself. Now Rosnock built, from what I understand, vertical heads for a variety of machines from that era. Atlas was just one of them, and you see a few Rosnock heads around. I personally don't have any experience with them, but they supposedly were a decent enough head, and the one that they've got here with this that they show pictures of later on looks to be pretty good. This has an arbor driver and an arbor with it. What size they are, I don't know. I would guess from looking at the size of that cutter, it's probably I would say that's probably a 1-inch arbor support, but I can't tell you that for certain. Handle's not broken on this end. It seems as though I remember seeing, maybe it was on the other machine, that there was no handle on the other end. Yeah, this is an okay machine, but this is not an excellent machine. Now see, on the motor end, they showed a 2-step pulley on the motor end, the counter shaft. I believe that motor and the counter shaft were only single-step pulleys on there. So they're not original to the machine. Here's your Rosnock head. Like I say, I really know nothing about them. It looks to be a decent enough head. Now, from looking at the collets that are with this, I think these are a DA100 collet is what I think it said on the little baggie that they were in here. Looks like they've got quite a few collets. I don't know what the size ranges are. They're going to be smaller cutters, I'm assuming, which is appropriate for the machine. Yeah, DA100 collets, 100 DA. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them it looks like. And I would speculate maybe they'll go up to 1/2 inch. I don't think they'll go any bigger than that, which you probably don't need on an Atlas mill. So good little option. It doesn't make it a $3,500 machine. I would, with the head, $2,000. I wouldn't give, and I don't know that I'd give that much for it. The machine itself is a $1,200 machine with a stand. So there's the first one. This is the second one. Rare Atlas Craftsman milling machine with stand and coolant pump. Another dealer here. Now this is sold as a parts machine, and they want $3,750 for this. $3,750. Okay. Craftsman, and it's badge Craftsman. So which is an Atlas, but it's badge craftsman. Milling machine 101 15500 with stand, includes one overarm and arbor support, has the original coolant pump as well, untested. See all photos, ask all questions. It is your responsibility to ensure this unit is what you need before purchasing. Sold as is, no shipping. Should be cleaned, repaired, and checked by professionals before using to avoid accident or injury. No returns. For $37.50, I'd take that money and leave the country because I'd be ashamed. Alright. So we're looking at it sitting on the back of the tailgate of a pickup, and we're also looking at another machine back in behind it. So where they acquired these, who knows, but this is a rusted up piece of crap. That's what this is. Probably the best part of this machine from looking at it is this handle right here. Dirty, grimy, rusty, beat up, rusty, rusted up here. Now, I don't see an overarm here. This has an end mill holder. It's going to have the drawbar going through. And I'm not sure about that drawbar yet. We'll have to look at it. See, look at this other machine behind. It's all... He bought these machines from the same dealer, the same shop, same junk shop, same estate sale, whatever it was. Because there's a tag on that one that's been on there for 100 years too. No switch on that one. Anyway, this is the one we're looking at. Rusted up piece of crap. It's got a old worn coolant hose, which they had. It does have the bar going across. Got the locks for the overarm. It is on a stand, although I don't see any badging on this stand. So is it on the back side of the, is it on backwards, or is it, well, it's just set on the stand, it's not bolted on, so we're probably looking at the back of the stand. It's just as rusted up. This is sat in a pool of water. No handle on this end, no motor. Bunch of just wires dangling out here. I don't see the proper gib lock on that. I see the proper gib lock on the elevation. Now, I'm not sure what this is. The only thing I can really come up with on this is they had a lamp attached to it or something. You know, they had it rotated up. So it does have an overarm support in it. But I have no idea what that is. None. You know, there may be some attachment that I'm unaware of that wasn't, you know, it wasn't included, wasn't, I don't know what that is. It's got this guard, which this is a later model guard. Now, like on that last one, right in here on this little nubbin, they usually have there's a set screw there, or it's threaded right there, and that accepted a little spring for that cover to rest on. Missing the knob on the, well, and it's bent, looks like, for the back gear knob. Got all these wires strewn around here. I don't really know why, because there's nothing for them to attach to. Okay, now here's our coolant. Let's start here at the top for the coolant pump. This is the arbor support for the 6-inch Atlas, or for the lead screw. This is the same. It's the lead screw bearing for, I believe, the 6-inch. is the same thing as what goes on here, except just instead of having an oil hole, why it's drilled and tapped for the locking knob. Okay, now here's the back for the coolant pump, and the coolant pump is with it. This is going to be junk, you know. I mean, maybe you can rebuild the coolant pump or have it rebuilt. I don't know that it's worth doing, but that's what you got. So it's on a stand, and it's got a coolant pump that doesn't work, which is about the best parts of this whole mill. This is, you know, there's a better picture of the back end of it. You know, the coolant pump is in there. Those are not the proper screws. Those had a actual screw with a, I believe it was just a slotted headed screw on those, was what was factory. There's your coolant pump. Signal Electric. How can you imagine that that's actually going to run and continue to run for any length of time? That piece of crap. There's a sump inside. Wire nuts that have been taped over. There's a switch that they've got in it. Looks like the cobwebs hanging there with it. So what you got here is about a $500 machine. This is junk. Yeah, that's about a $500 machine, and they're wanting $3,800 for it, $3,750. Okay, then let's move along. Now, this one, set of ice jaws, $37.25. Condition is new. This is from a reseller, and these are a set of ice jaws that I sell to, that this reseller bought from me before I figured out who he was. Sold them to him for $10. He's got them out there for $37.25, and these are my ice jaws. I have no doubt whatsoever. Do I have proof of that? No, but when I look at the finish on them, when I look at the bevel on the edges, when I look at the V notches and the way these are finished out, this is a set of my vice jaws. Now, I've cut this reseller off, and there's a couple of them that I've identified. They're connected, and it took me a little while to figure out what they were. I have cut them off. If they order from me now, why, I cancel the order, deduct what the credit card company charges me, and refund the difference. So, yeah, $37.25, and they're the same ones that I sell for $25, or for $10, excuse me. So $7.25 shipping. I think I charge $8 is what I think to ship them out. So, yeah, you can give 18 or $20, or you can give 45 for them. You know, your choice. But yeah, this is a reseller. So, and the only other thing here is, and I think we've looked at this, I think probably last time that I looked here, this is from a seller that's been around for a long time, usually wants a lot of money for stuff. Rare Atlas milling machine, Marvin slotting attachment. This is a slotting head for the Atlas mill. Marvin machine built accessories. I'm pretty sure we just looked at this one. He wants $27.50 for this, and I think it's too much money for the utility you're going to get out of them. Same way with the Atlas machines when they want big bucks for them. But it is very unique. You don't see very many of these. So anytime I see them, I stop and gather a little bit of information on them and do what I can. But I find them interesting. You know, they're just a slotting head, runs up and down. It attaches to the overarm the way there's. It's gear driven. This gear, I believe, slides on here. This is the tensioner for the chain. It's chain driven. Be another gear that hooks onto the spindle of the mill. And I just find them interesting here. The kind of a unique attachment you don't see a whole lot of. So, do I recommend buying it? No, I don't. I think it's too much money. You know, I think from the uniqueness of them and the rarity of them, if you could pick one of these up for, if you really wanted one for $800 or $1,000, it might be worth investing in, but they're not worth $2,800. You know, they're They're wanting collector prices for a piece of equipment that's in usable condition. It's not collectible condition. It's a user type condition. So kind of unique, kind of intrigues me, but not $2,700 worth. So anyway, that's what I got for you today. Hopefully you find something here a little bit interesting, useful. Don't get taken in by a lot of these resellers. You know, they're just really wanting way too much. So anyway, comments, suggestions, leave them in the comments section for me below, guys. And thanks for taking the time to watch.